Hello, so welcome to a new presentation. You will be granted with 20 minutes of French accent. Sorry for that. I can do better. All right, so we are here to discuss a topic related to the quality of service and how it can drive the customer adoption. So how the quality of delivery of your content can make people love or not your service. We at VisualOn provide services to OTT providers since years, and we just want to share with you a few challenges, potential solutions, hints to help you have your app get more thumbs up than thumbs down. All right, so the menu. First, we'll briefly introduce ourselves, and then discuss what is the quality of service. What does that mean for OTT service? What is quality of service of experience? And how we can, or how can SDK providers help you in delivering the best possible quality for your end users. VisualOn, so we are just over there, 30 meters away, a company based in California and providing multimedia player SDKs for the industry, OTT industry, since 15 years and more, and powering quite a number of deployments worldwide and used as well by a number of customers and partners all over the world. This is just a subset, an abstract. We are behind some very large deployments with big names and as well with smaller names, and partnering with pretty much everybody in the ecosystem. If you want to know more about the company, just 30 meters away, you will find us. Now, going to the topic of this presentation, why is the quality of service so important? So we are talking here about providing content over the top on such devices, where you want to play live content, VOD content, series, movies, etc. And what will make people go to your service and not to the next one? What will make people love your service? One is the marketing, for sure. Two is the pricing. People need to be able to afford the service and be happy with what they get for the price. Three, the catalog of content, definitely. And the last one, which is the topic of today, is the quality of experience. Because when you have people know about your service because of the marketing campaign, get money on to get the service running, be happy with what they can get, then they want just to play and have the best possible playback experience. That's the key, and that's what we'll be discussing today. So far, okay? No question? Why quality of service is so critical? We know it at VisualOn. Again, since 15 years, we've been providing software SDKs to the industry. And we all know that what we want is when you get your content and click play, you just want it to play, you want to relax and watch the content on your mobile device, on your big screen TV, on your set-top box or whatever. You just want it to play. The thing is that the player is the last part of the chain, of a long chain to get the content running. The player is inside the application, behind the OS, on the hardware device, behind the network, and then you have the CDN and the encoding, packaging, and DRM. And on the player side, when you play, that's where you can meet an issue at any stage of this whole delivery chain. And that's why it's so important and critical. And that's why as well we need to pay attention to this, and that will be the focus of today, to avoid that people are not happy with it, see buffering, rebuffering, long startup time or bad quality, and they will just write down the app and go to the next one. That's the challenge. What can we do? We, as company, as a player SDK provider, what can you get from the market? First thing, what you want to get is the best playback quality and all the latest trendy stuff. So you want to get a nice picture, bright colors, you want to have low latency for live, you want to have 4K or who knows, maybe 360, etc. You want to have HDR on your big screen TV. So you need to be able to deliver what the market is expecting today. Two, You need the player SDK to be reliable, because we all know when you prepare an OTT service, one thing is to prepare it in the labs with developers doing testing, etc. But you need to be prepared to face new version of Android or iOS, any issue. And that's where you want to make sure that your SDK will be able to cope with any situation, any issue. That's number 2. Number 3, even if you are prepared with a reliable SDK, when you will be live and your service will be up and running with end users, you will have issues. No doubt, no question. For sure, you will have issues, whatever it is. And that's the day where you will need people, expert people, to be ready to help. If you see that some of your users are starting to have rebuffering, you want to understand why. Where in the delivery chain is the issue and get it fixed. That's another key item when you go and make a decision to use this or that player for your service. The last item that will be the core of the presentation, starting from there, is remote monitoring. The thing is, let's say I am an OTT service provider, and you are my end users, and you are streaming content. I cannot guess what is your experience or your experience or your experience. I don't know. You are maybe on mobile, on Wi-Fi with a different carrier. One of you can have a good startup time, the other one will not be satisfied with the startup time. And I want to know what you experience. Otherwise, I'm just blind. So that was one of the aspects. Get the SDK that will give you all these kind of features. Again, you know where to find us if you want to know more about this kind of features. Next. You know what? I just noticed I can read the same thing just there. That's more convenient. Okay, remote monitoring. As I said, I am an OTT service provider. You are all my end users. I don't know what you are experiencing. What I would love is to be able to go and dig into each and every session, each and every playback details to understand what your experience is. So that's one key of remote monitoring. You get the data and you can utilize the data to understand what's going on in the field. That's one. 2, you want to keep the history of the data that you collect. Because one thing is to understand what you are experiencing right now, but I want to know if it's better than the week before or worse than the month before, the quarter before, the year before, so I can see how my service is evolving, going better, going worse, etc. So that's a second item. Collect data and keep the data to keep the history. 3, when we start to say that, the amount of data that you will collect and store can become huge, really huge. We have experience with that, and that's just based on one of our customers. You see a ratio between the number of unique users and the number of unique playback sessions. And for each session, as we'll see, we can remember everything that happened. So the solution has to be scalable to handle that amount of data. And the last item, but it's maybe because I'm from Europe, and we are pretty sensible to that, is Gdpr, which is collecting personal data, but paying attention to what you collect, get the consent, be ready to delete the data. We already had the case in Europe of end users that said, oh, you did collect data about me? Please remove me from the database. And we have to do that. All right, let's go now into a concrete case. I hope that you got the full picture. SDK, reliable, get the data from the playback, keep the history, etc. I want now to utilize a real case from a customer called Stofa. Stofa is an operator based in Denmark, a very good customer of us, who agreed gently to let us tell them their story. And I have a problem because I promised that I would wear their t-shirt. This is Stofa. But I've got this headset and I cannot put it on. So for the colleagues at Stofa, your t-shirt was at NAB. We, VisualOn, provide Stofa with SDKs for pretty much all the platforms, which is, as we will see, a key item that you get data in a consistent way on all the different platforms. What did they do? It was a few years back. They started OTT as many other providers. They did run a proof of concept, started to distribute the application. In the labs, everything was fine. But they started to get complaints from end users. And, well, what was the problem? And they tried to reproduce the issue, and they could not in the labs. So they were kind of blind, and they wanted to have a way to understand, okay, why are they complaining about this or that, while in my labs, it's fine. And they made a decision, a strategic decision, that an OTT service without analytics is not worthless, but is really, really risky. You don't want to have your apps with only thumbs down in the app stores. You want to have it with a good ratio. They now have a full operational analytics setup that I will describe quickly with concrete examples. So they do collect data, and mainly for, I would say, three main usage. One is, it is a tool for the operations team to get data about what is happening in the field, detect drifts, changes, and adjust to that. Tune the end-to-end delivery chain to keep a good level of quality. It is a tool as well for the help desk, the customer support. When you know and record each and every playback session, you can do the following. You have an end user calling your help desk and say, hey guys, I paid for my movie and I could not watch my movie. And you go to the session, check in details, and you can tell to the guy, no, you're kidding me. You watched your movie, I can't see it. Or you can say, hey, indeed, you went from Wi-Fi to cellular network, and then the network was so poor that we could not refresh the playlist. And that's why it stopped. And then you have an explanation. So that's one usage for operations and help desk. Even more important is that such tool can be used by the management to make decisions. At Stofa, they get dashboards to make sure how things are evolving with some KPIs like the startup time, rebuffering ratio, maximum quality being played, etc., that show a good or bad user experience. And these kind of dashboards go to executives and they can make decisions. A case, for example, when enabling 4K, which will put a stress on the delivery chain, on the servers, you want to make sure that it's fine, and if not, pinpoint exactly where the issue is. That's a typical case. Another good thing is that when you start to collect data and use them, you can detect drifts before they hit too many users. That's a case from Stofa. They started to see a specific DRM error code growing up and said, no, that's not expected. So they've been working on that, found the issue, and fixed the DRM server before you have too many end users impacted. So that's anticipating issues before they reach all your users. That's a typical, very good use case. And by the way, just as a side information, they use also a tool to push settings back to the players in the field, to each and every of you. So they know that for this kind of content, the best, according to the analytics, would be to have this buffering level, that startup bitrate, etc. And they can push this kind of value to the players in the field. That's a kind of feedback. A couple more examples. Scaled analysis, and that's interesting. At Stofa, with our analytics server tool, they trigger some background analysis that are run on Sunday night, and on the Monday morning, they get reports at different levels in the company to check how it's been going for the previous week with different dashboards, like you have live TV, what was the average startup time, what was average frame drop ratio, buffering ratio, etc. And they can split down this information by platform, by CDN, by OS, etc. to make sure how things have been going in the previous week, detect drifts, and make decisions. Another tool, which is again just not only collecting data, but how you use the data in your organization, is alerts. you can, with the kind of tool that we do provide, have in the background processes that will, each and every 5 minutes, check some KPIs. And if some KPIs are drifting, you get an alert to the relevant people. That can be, for example, if you have the startup time starting to increase, or if you have like a content issue or CDN issues increasing, etc. We get this kind of alerts triggered automatically. And that's a way to, well, not wait again for people to start raid on the app, but be proactive. All right, it's time to wrap up. I hope it was clear enough until there, and sorry again for my good French accent. 2 more slides to go. Takeaways from Stofa themselves. I had a call with them a couple of weeks ago and told them, okay, what would be the 3 messages you would like to give to people who will listen to this presentation here in Vegas? The first one is, you need to know what your customers get. It seems so simple when you read it, but that's basic. You need to know what they get. You cannot guess. The second one was using analytics and including the analytics in your internal processes is a way to react faster when you have issues, because there is always issue, but you need to know about that and react as fast as possible. And the third one is to keep the data so you can make comparisons and make sure that actions that you have been taking do have effects and you see a positive effect on your service. That's from Stofa. And to finish with, key takeaways from us, VisualOn. Again, with the experience that we have from countless services worldwide using our SDK, our software, plus some analytic solutions, including ours. Key takeaways. 1, you do, of course, need to have a player SDK that gives your end users the latest trends, the best playback quality, etc. But it has to be reliable. It's not using a fancy stuff that if it's broken 1 time out of 2, it's useless. 2, you need to be ready to troubleshoot issues. The day you have customers coming to you and users and tell, okay, it's not possible, it's rebuffering each and every 30 seconds. You need to have someone to talk to get some debug logs, get some network captures, and understand where the issue is and get it fixed as soon as possible, because it's affecting live service. And know what your customers get, as we said, that's getting accurate data for each playback session. That's one thing. 2, it has to be scalable. 3, you have to trust the data that you see. If you start to use analytics as a management tool, you have to have full confidence in each and every metric that you see. And that's where working with player experts makes sense, because we know that this information we display comes from that aspect of the player, and you can trust it. And then, once you have all that set up, you have to include that in your internal processes, again for the help desk, operations, and management. And that would be it. I hope it was 1, helpful, 2, you could understand everything I said, and 3, if you have any question, just, I'm here for autographs, etc. And our booth is just there. Thank you.